Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cool JDM Show. I'm your host, and Mike is your host, too. We're co-hosts.
We are co-hosts, and I can also bite the end of the Cool JDM Show.
I didn't know you were actually going to do that. We were joking about that out. I'm going to try.
That's the Cool JDM
I'm Derek
show.
Weldon, company owner, and to my left, which is I think your right, is Mike Dennis.
That's me.
What do you do around here, Mike?
I sell cars. I am the sales manager at Pacific Coast Auto.
You know, a lot of people don't realize I don't sell cars. I get so many emails from people, especially returning customers from, 15 years now we've been doing this. And they're like, Derek, I want to buy this car. And I'm like, it's been 4 years since I've been a sales rep. I can't help you.
Yep. But that's okay. We have plenty of people.
Or to Grant. Or to Jacob. In this Cool JDM show, we've got a bunch of things to talk about. We want to make sure that we are leaving enough time for the Q&A at the end of the show, because I know a lot of you guys are interested in hearing answers to your questions about importing cars from Japan, or about Mike's personal life, or Max's personal life. We forgot to introduce you. Aww. Max here.
That's right.
Has a face. Do you want to do this now? Face reveal for Max, because he's always hiding behind the camera. He's just going to walk around and show his face.
This first. Oh, where's he going?
Hi, guys.
He's going here.
Here I am.
Bite the Cool JDM logo.
I don't know if that worked.
Perfect.
Here you go.
Max comes from Germany, and
it totally didn't work, by the way. It was like this much over the logo. That's
was
fine.
it?
Sorry.
And Max is the creative force behind the company. He is. He does things like logos, video editing.
Yes.
He's doing web design as well. He has many hands in many pockets.
He's the reason this show exists.
Yeah, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. All I know how to do is talk, and I'm not even that good at it.
Thankfully, Max is good at his stuff.
In today's show, sorry, Max, go ahead.
JT says Jacob is the man.
Jacob is the
Okay.
man. That's
All right.
true.
I'll take that. In today's show, we're talking about a contest that you get to win some stuff, and it is a mystery. More on that in a second. We also have to talk about our new channel. What's the channel called, Mike?
Drives Japan.
Excellent. And unfortunately, I'll talk about that in a second. Quickly, over all of our topics, we are going to go over... Max got an update on a parking situation. We are going to talk about Derek's new car. Some guesses? Do you guys know what it is, or do you not know what it is? It is hint, it is the latter. Industry topics. I'm sorry about this. We're going to be talking about tariffs again, very briefly only. There have been a couple of developments. We have to go over them.
It's pertinent information.
I'm not selling the show very well at this moment. The key, what was it called? Topic for today. The key topic for today is how to buy a bad car. In other words, how to buy a
shit car. I don't know if that's what you wanted me to say, but
it's perfect, Mike. Perfect.
Right.
Then, and that's going to take up the majority of the show. That and the Q&A. Hopefully, we're also going to go over some auction picks for you and some dealer picks, as we always do. And we have a Q&A after that. As usual, post your questions from now, or in 5 minutes, or in 10 minutes, or any time up until the Q&A, or including the Q&A. Post your questions.
I gotta say, it looks like we have more people chatting. I like that. I see some of the usual suspects, which is great, and I see maybe some new people too. Maybe it's all the new suspects.
We're also starting with more concurrent viewers than we usually have within the first 5 minutes. So maybe this is, maybe people are warming up to us. Maybe the clickbaity title was part of the reason why people clicked on it.
Are you here for us or the clickbait?
Yeah, somebody posted in the comments if it was just a stupid clickbaity title.
Yeah.
But I think it's very, very valuable information, especially if you are looking to purchase. I know a lot of our viewers are either current purchasers or future purchasers with us, and so learning how to buy a good car, or in other words, how to not buy a shit car, is going to be very valuable information for you. And we see a ton of people falling into the same traps, and so these are your traps to be aware of. Okay, so first segment.
Announce the segment. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, give me some reverb.
You got it.
You ready?
Reverb.
This week at PCA.
Nice. I really want to see how that turns out.
Did that sound autistic to you?
Nope.
Okay.
It sounded artistic.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So, Mike, tell us about the contest.
The contest. So, on the last couple of episodes, we announced that there would be a contest. We wanted you to send in pictures. Oh, I'm speaking in past tense. Spoiler alert, the contest is over. If you
What?
If you sent in your application, great. You are in the draw to win. We have not picked a winner yet, but no further submissions will be entered. There could be future contests in the future. That's why they're called future contests. But for this one, we wanted to make it short and to kind of give people who were early watchers or listeners to the show a chance to enter first and to get something special. So we will be picking a winner and announcing the winner maybe next week, maybe the week after.
I think next week. Why don't we go out on a limb and say that we're going to pick the winner next week?
Sure.
So far, that worked.
Yep. The winner will be announced next week. And will their prize be announced next week too?
So we haven't really decided this, but I think it would be good to show on the stream what potential future contests you could get. If we don't show what it is, then somebody's just going to get something, and then everyone will always be wondering what they won. So we should really go over what it is and really sell it, like Price is Right style. This is a beautiful, only available in Japan item that you can get if you make sure that you come back for future episodes.
Okay, so the next show will be the revealing of the prizes and the winner of the prize, and we'll show you some of the entries and cool submissions we got, because we got a decent amount and they are very cool. So
so everyone had to send in a picture, right?
A picture, yes, of their card that they imported from us.
And it had to be a car imported from us.
Correct, yes.
And if you sent in a picture of a very awesome car that was not imported by us, what do you get a prize?
You get a crisp high five and a thank you for the email
for not buying from us,
but and the appreciation that we got for viewing the vehicle, but that entry will not count.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody sent in a Nissan, a Prince Skyline from the 1960s.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a cool car! Not bought from us, even though this was a regular customer of ours. Not sure where you're getting your cars from. Most of them were for us, but the coolest one wasn't. So
I know he's got a lot of cool stuff.
I don't know. I'm only fake being angry. I get it.
Yeah,
George. I'll take my high five for my Skyline.
George outed himself. It was George.
we got to be careful. I don't want to say somebody's name on there when they aren't. Like George's name is George, right? But if in the chat, his name is George. Yeah. And so if I say George, like I know who it is in my mind, but I don't want to say a person's name if I don't know their screen name or something, right? And I think I have done that a few times. And so tisk.
I'm sorry.
Zaid is asking, how are we being judged? And I think we should say that we still have to decide.
We are.
This is how we roll, you know. Just take it one day at a time.
We will be judging on our own criteria, and we will explain the criteria next week. So stay tuned.
Yes. So we're going to think it up in the next week, or we're going to rush in the morning of next week's episode and then go, quick, what are we going to do?
We're going to prepare. We have a lot to prepare because we have to prepare the prizes and go over the prizes. And we have some ideas already, but nothing's been finalized. So thank you to everyone who submitted entries. And for the next competition, be ready.
Right. You never know when it's going to come. So if you miss even one episode, that you're going to miss your chance. And at the moment, we don't have a ton of viewers. So you have a good chance to win right now if you keep watching all of the episodes until the end. Because you never know when in the episode we're going to drop it. Right?
That's enough clickbait from us.
I'm terrible, aren't I?
All right. Let's go.
Talking about Drives Japan, here's your update on how many subscribers. I don't know if people care about this, but I personally do. That's fun. I'm going to talk about it. We had 1,085 subscribers last week on our new channel, Drives Japan. It currently has 1,097. That is an increase of 12 subs in 1 week. You know, there are these channels that are getting several hundred per day. Yeah. We're getting 12 in a week.
But are they as cool or as JDM or as show as us?
No. All of the subscribers on that channel. You know what? We should do a contest on that channel to try to con people into subscribing. Yep. Subscribe and get stuff.
We're not conning anyone. We do cool stuff there. Hopefully you enjoy it.
Got to talk about this channel. This channel has a ton of walk around videos. So this is our busy season now, and so we have one video going up every 2 days up until the end of April at least, if not until maybe the end of May. So you have a ton of new cars to take a look at, so we look forward to that. We also have Max. You ready for this? We have an update Update on the Max's parking situation. You ready to give that update?
The hotly requested update to Max's ramp situation.
Okay, get ready.
Ready.
There's none.
There's no update.
Ramps are still in place.
Okay.
Okay, on to the next thing.
Keep us informed, Max.
So if you've been watching a number of episodes, you'd know that I had a paper cup. We ran out of paper cups, so I can't do it at the moment, but we'll have to buy some
Budget
new ones.
cuts.
And there was... We're putting all of the budget from the paper cups into the prize. You're going to get a stack of paper cups as your prize.
With our artwork. Man, we should have kept those. Maybe that'd be fun.
I threw all of mine out, actually.
So did I.
They were getting old. There have been
Guesses
hints
on your new
on what
car.
my new car is on each of the paper cups. And I had asked if someone from the chat could guess what my new car is. And I gave these hints. It's from 1972. 855 kilograms and 115 horsepower. And we had some guesses, so let's go through them. The first one, somebody guessed an Alpine A110. Let's put that up onto the screen.
Is it... I don't even know which
For
tab
your
it is.
viewing pleasure.
It's the first tab. I organized them correctly.
That's
is
not the right
new
one.
Oh,
Click on this
right.
one on the bottom right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Because they remade the car a few years ago.
I wish you had one of these. Oh, is that a spoiler alert? Good guess.
Nobody guessed
might be
guessed the correct car. I gotta say, I would love to see guesses. Everybody, only one guess, please, per episode. This may be a contest in the future. But if you're guessing more than one, that's not fair to everybody. So you can only have one guess per episode. And so far, nobody's gotten it right. I gotta say, though, of the 4 guesses that we got, all of these are cars that I want. I badly want every one of these. We have sold 2 of these. The A110, a very famous rally car, rear-engined, runs a 1.3 liter engine or a 1.6 liter engine. I think there's a 1.5 as well and a 1.2. I don't know. Super duper light. These things only weigh 635 kilograms. Wow.
This is such a phenomenally beautiful car, I think.
Right? It's
I'm in
weirdly proportioned because of the rear engine.
Yeah. I like it, though. It's almost like a speed tail design.
It's also smaller than an original Mini. It's a little bit longer,
really?
but much lower and about the same width. It is super small inside. There's no way you could sit inside one.
Sad.
And yeah, those are 13 or 12 inch wheels. And so, yeah, it feels really, really small and awkward. The next guess was a Di Tommaso Pantera. Terrible guess, but this person knows my taste
Very
in cars.
cool.
I would love one of these. I would prefer an early model like the yellow one there. Grant here in the office prefers the late model ones. We were talking about this
Really?
yesterday.
Is that like a body kit on the top left? Or is that just an early, late model? Because that looks fantastic.
As far as I know, all of these are production versions of it. As far as I know.
Yes, please.
So the wide fenders and the chin spoiler and stuff are just the later model
Grant
ones.
and I finally agree
That
on the
one-
looks for a car that we both like. Usually we're opposite.
This one has 330 horsepower, so more than twice the amount of my car, and has 1,400 kilograms, so almost twice the weight. And so it's very much not within the criteria of my car, but it is something that I would like, so fair enough. Next one, Renault 5 GT Turbo. Oh my God, yes, I adore this car. We have sold probably 10 of them in the past, none of them recently because the prices went up so much. 1.4 liter turbocharged engine puts out like, I don't know, it's on here.
This screams your style.
118 horsepower, 830 kilograms. And so
Ooh.
it is the same weight and the same horsepower as the car that I bought. But these cars didn't come out until 85, so it couldn't be one of these. But yes, please. I love these. They're all in trashy condition, though.
Yeah.
And the next one is a Fair Lady, the S30 generation. And yes, it is a car that I adore. They are too expensive,
I was
though.
going to say big.
Way, I can't afford one of these, even in bad condition. Here in Japan, they are easily 10 million yen. They can be less than that, of course, but the one in a condition I'd want is maybe around 10 million. This, of course, is heavier than my car and more power. So 150 horsepower you got in this, and it's about 1,000 kilograms. Not a bad power to weight ratio, though. At least for the early models, are about 1,000 kilograms. They got heavier as they went on.
So no one has guessed your car yet.
And
Keep
I
guessing.
won't say if you've guessed the car yet until we post the video of the car. Like I said in the previous one, we've got a lovely cinematic of the car that our creative mastermind Max has made for us. It is a beautiful video, and you're going to be very excited to see that. So make sure that you subscribe to Drives Japan, and then once that video is up, we'll say what it is, and anyone who guessed it right has a chance to potentially win something, but only one guess per video. And we're going to create a list of anyone who guesses multiple times per video, and we're going to scratch you off the list. You're on the naughty list, and you can't win a prize.
When can they expect the video?
I don't know. I still got to write a script.
Soon, guys? Soon, maybe?
I'm going to use AI to write the script.
Don't do that.
No, I won't do that. There's almost nothing I hate more than that. On to, give me some reverb.
Yes.
Oh, you can say it. Go ahead.
You want to do it?
No.
Industry topics and news.
Autistic, man.
Artistic. Thank you very much.
That's what I said.
Okay. So I know tariffs are on our mind a lot. We understand that they are not the easiest thing to talk about for people, especially those who will be affected by them. But a couple of quick points just to go over in case you weren't already aware. A lot of these stem from questions that we get from customers in email, and if they've been asked multiple times, we'll try to cover them on the show so that anybody can get the benefit of them. So 25% tariff for vehicles does not affect used vehicles. They are exempt from that 25%.
Does not affect 25-year-old used vehicles from
Japan.
Or from other countries.
Right, but us specifically.
I don't know about used cars from Canada that are less than 25 years old that you can send to the USA.
I don't know. If you're importing a car from Canada, check the rules. They are changing frequently. But used cars that we sell from Japan going to the USA, which are 25 years old or older, they will not be subject to the 25% auto tax. However, there's a 10% global tariff on all imports into the USA, which we do expect to take effect. That's as of now, as of a couple days ago. And then as of tomorrow, there should be an additional 24% reciprocal tariff.
But not 100% known whether it's additional or included.
Correct.
That hasn't been clarified whatsoever.
Yeah.
And there are news stories that say one way and news stories that say another way.
Right. The official guidance on the tariff, or the harmonized tariff code updates, I think they're called, when they're released, they should be released tomorrow, and that will have the final answer. These may change over time, but from what we know now, it's 10%. With the possibility of it being 24% or 34%. So there you have it. One more update on the tariff situation.
Everybody wants to cheat now that the taxes are expensive.
That is correct. You want me to keep going?
Yep.
So this is going to be some direct quotes, some... what's that word?
Indirect.
Indirect, sure. Anyway, a senior Department of Justice official has said recently that the Trump administration will aggressively enforce the False Claims Act, and that trade will be a priority for those efforts. So I'm going to say this and then I'll explain. This was a news article from a reputable source that was quoting the Trump administration and its senior Department of Justice official. The TLDR on this is that the USA is going to be cracking down on importers who are trying to avoid paying taxes and duties. So we've been approached or asked for our opinion on lowering the value of invoices, which is very common practice for exports from Japan. Not something that we've ever been involved in or want to be involved in, because
let me just be clear about that. We've never lowered the cost of an invoice for any customer ever.
Right.
And we kind of have a don't ask, don't tell. Like, we understand that some importers, it's up to you if you want to change invoices, do whatever you want. But for our company, we have a strict code of morals, and that means that we're not going to be changing invoices for anybody.
Right. And most specifically, this is usually done of, say, we buy a car for 1 million yen. Many companies will then declare that as you buying the car for 500,000 yen or 300,000 yen. It depends on the severity or the level that people want to get to. But we don't do that because we don't believe in it. And for any people currently doing that, or if you're buying from another exporter and they're doing that for you, be warned that there is going to be a big crackdown. I don't know if you announced that on the show, but you did send an email to many of our USA customers which stated the same thing. Mm-hmm. We expected this to be the case. So they're cracking down on it, and they have specifically mentioned they'll be on the lookout for importers decreasing their tax or duty obligations. The damages, if you are found to be in breach of this, are up to 3 times the amount that was withheld. So if you were supposed to pay taxes on a vehicle that was valued at $1 million and you only paid $500,000, you could end up paying 3 times more than you would have paid if you had declared it properly. So be careful out there, and just know that they're out there cracking down on this.
And if you get caught once, they're going to be watching your account for the future too.
Very true. Yeah,
so it's not flagged. Just that, like, some people might be thinking, oh, 3 times the amount. Well, if I can get away with it for a certain amount of time, then it might be worth it to do anyway. Well, as soon as you get audited, then from then on, you are now somebody who will continue to get audited because they caught you once. Yeah. What's to say you wouldn't continue doing that? Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, yes, as you said, be careful out there.
Yeah. We got a lot of chat. Max is directing us here.
Yes. My chair is squeaking.
Oh, we've got someone talking not in English. I like that. Looks like Spanish. Is that right?
I can read Spanish. I can't understand any of it.
De la 240 sont in...
So, Gore-Tex said Top Rank went to California U.S. Customs and they said the 25-year exempt isn't applicable. And then there was a discussion that everything is so wishy-washy that nobody knows what's going on.
No, but we do know that because our customs broker informed us that they've used the proper HS code for import, which is the classification code for the type of vehicle. And even the customs brokers don't know a lot of this until they use the code. And she's like, well, I used the code and then I was watching to see what it was taxed, and it wasn't taxed on the 25%. So if that happens once, the HS code is always going to be the same. So yes, it is correct. The 25% is not applicable.
And I believe it specifically does state somewhere. I don't exactly know where. It might be in the official HS code announcement. Yeah, it is. It's the official code. It says.
Yeah, and we sent that out to all our US customers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Good, exactly there. Thank you.
Okay, so be careful of customs. Let's conclude that segment. Let's go on to the next segment.
No more tariff talk for now.
Yeah, I know. Tariff talk kind of sucks, but it is something we need to talk about. This is like, we have to talk about news, and that's the important news at the moment. And like I said, at least half of our cars go to the USA.
Yep. It is pertinent information.
So we are sweating a little bit at the moment, not knowing how much our US sales are going to go down. So if you are from other countries, please go ahead and buy right now.
Sorry, one more thing. JT just said, do you have the HS code? I believe that was sent out to everyone, but if you're using our recommended customs broker, you're fine. They know how to handle the situation and they'll be doing the right thing by you guys. So not something that you need to be concerned about. They would always be classifying the cars themselves anyway. That's their job as a customs broker. And they're the ones that we're also getting the information from. So you're fine.
On to the next thing.
Can you teach me how to buy a shit car, Derek?
I would love a shit car. How do I find one of those? Because I need a step-by-step, 10-step process on how to buy a shit car.
So this is the opposite of how you're looking to find a good car. If you specifically want a shit car, or you want to throw your money away, here's what you can do to buy a really bad car.
This is our first top 10 list. Top 10? Yeah. Top 10 how to buy a shit car. Now I've tried to order these in the first ones are going to be kind of the easier ones, and the more important ones will be later in the list. So we're going to how do you say that?
We're going to progress in the order of what? The worst is at the top, did you say? No, the worst is at the bottom.
Right. So this first one is the easiest one, not the worst one. And this one goes without saying pretty much, but it still catches a lot of people off guard. And so number one, and we've got an example of this, so go ahead, Max, and put that up. Number one is if your auction sheet lists something that is dangerous, something such as engine sounds or smoky engine or engine leaks or something like that, it is something to watch out for. Goes without saying, I get it, but there are still people who will ask us, is it really that bad? In all honesty, I would say when it says something like engine smoke, it's bad half the time or so. If it says something like engine doesn't run properly, it's bad half the time or so. But why take the gamble on that when you could be buying something else? These are cars that it could be so many different things. And if it's good, well, you might have saved a little bit of money. But if it's bad, this could be several $1,000s. So our blanket statement is, if it says engine doesn't run fine or engine has weird sounds or something, just avoid it. And so this one here, a Honda Today, these things have the Honda Beat engine, revs to over 8,000 RPM, and from factory has ITBs.
I love
but
these.
the ITBs are the size of a quarter.
It's fine. They're still individual.
Right.
Cool.
This one says engine makes weird sounds. Usually when we're translating it, we will notice something like this and then just say, hey, this one has engine weird sounds. Maybe pass on it. If you still want a translation, go ahead. So that's that. Next one.
I would like to say, like what you said about the risk. You start off with a baseline risk for buying at a wholesale auction. You're not getting a retail car. A lot of these cars need work, especially when they're 25 years old. You see engine smoke, you raise the risk. You see corrosion, you raise the risk. And you just keep taking more and more risks. And at a point, I think it's not worth it.
That is a good point, Mike.
Thanks. Yes. First good point. Ready for more.
So let's find out what number 2 is. Number 2.
Hey, this is me, right?
Yeah.
Buying an uninspected car. And you will see on your screen some of the dangers that that you can get yourself into with an uninspected car. So you see there in the top right corner, there is no grade. That can either be like this one, no grade. It can be stars. It can be 99. It could be a random number that we don't really use. It means the car has not been inspected by the auction. Usually, if you go to that picture, it's because there's not much to inspect. Or there's maybe too much to inspect is a better way to phrase that.
Okay, so an uninspected car has to either be the choice of the person that's sending it in to send it into the junk place for whatever reason that they want. Could be anything. But if the car is not running or the car has been in an unrepaired accident, no matter what, it needs to be in this section of the auction.
Right.
And so while there are some fine cars in this section, it is absolutely like what you're saying. This raises the risk exponentially. And as a result, we generally don't purchase these cars, even if you're looking for something crappy. And the reason why is because they're so likely to have issues before export that give such a headache that we only sell cars like this to qualified customers of ours that we know are willing to take F-ups in stride, really.
Yeah, and so this one is very obviously a car that you wouldn't want, right? The chances of this driving are near zero, I would say. Sometimes you can have an uninspected car that looks like it's gone through the normal or has gone through the normal auction photo process, and many people will contact us saying, oh, I found an uninspected car and I can tell that it drives because it drove through the photo booth. And that's correct at the time that those photos were taken. We've purchased cars for customers and warned them about this in the past, and they turn out to have blown engines. That means that the car probably went through auction and it was going to be listed as a normal vehicle. It got the photos taken, everything was fine, and then it had problems at auction. Engine blew up or something, and the auction said, no, now we moved this to the uninspected corner. So you're not buying what you thought you were buying. You're buying the blown up version. And it did bite the customer despite our warnings. So be careful out there. If it's uninspected, you are raising your risk exponentially.
That's right. Number 3, setting your expectations too high or expecting there to be no problems. And so let me reiterate that when you're buying from, this isn't this one.
Which one is it?
This is number 4. Quickly, take that one off of the screen. We're not supposed to see that one yet.
Oh, that's
maybe I should mention that there's no picture for this one beforehand. So
picture. Oh, right.
This is especially for people that are buying low mileage cars. They go, oh, wow, that car looks like it's in good condition, and the sheet shows that it's in good condition, so there can't possibly be anything wrong with it. And so that's not, I mean, if you have been around cars for long enough, you'll know that no matter how good someone inspects a car or how nice of a condition it appears to be, there are going to be question marks on that. And we don't want you to be upset when you buy a car. So there needs to be an expectation that a certain percentage of these cars that you're buying, there may be a severe problem. We have had, for example, a camper that we bought that was completely fine on the auction sheet. It was a very expensive camper. And then when we drove it, the engine just
that is
and then
true.
Mike had to push it through an intersection.
That is also true.
And campers aren't very light, are they?
They're not very light.
And so there is some chance that this will happen, and if you want to have a a good purchasing experience. Of course, you don't want that to happen, but if you're expecting that there is some chance that that'll happen, you're already way ahead of somebody who believes that there is no chance of things going sideways. There is always a chance.
Yeah. You start with a level of risk. You can kind of go up from there or down if you...
I think the next one is quite interesting. Let's bring up the picture for the next one.
Here we go.
Can I have the mouse for this one?
Sure.
So this one is buying cars that have been sitting for a long time.
So let me just click here where it says click here. Has this car been at auction before?
So this one says low mileage or just sitting long enough. Oh, gosh.
Boy.
I see multiple. Oh, no. I mean, these are Posaka.
So each one of these listings is for a time that the car has either been through auction or has been tried to sell as a one price. You can see that at least for 3 months since January 9th, this car has been at auction.
Now, our auction tool only goes back 3 months because the auction data only goes back 3 months. So there's a good chance this one was sitting for a lot longer than that.
Let's go back to the listing now. And why is that a bad thing?
Are you going to tell me?
No. This is, I wrote down an M on the sheet that's for Mike to talk about.
Okay, so there are a number of reasons this car could have been sitting for a long time. The most common one is the seller wants too much money for the vehicle because everything has a price. If the seller was willing to accept a low enough price for the vehicle, someone would pay that most likely. The other chances are that it has some issues that are not covered on the auction sheet but are obvious when you inspect the vehicle in person. What else? What else can there be?
So any car that's been sitting for several weeks / months has a chance to break down just from sitting. It's not healthy for a car to just sit there. We've had cars that were in fine condition when they were sent to the port for export, and then just in the 30 days of waiting for the vessel to come, something has gone wrong. They've started leaking oil or something. Like gaskets get hard and oil starts to leak and something like that. So anything that has been up for a long time has that extra chance, especially an older car like this. By the way, here's a little tidbit of information. If you go to the "this car has been at auction before" and you see something that says Ipatsu stock here, that's a one price listing. And so you can see here it's 15, which is 1.5 million yen. We now know how much the seller is looking to get for this car.
Right.
The start price is 980,000 yen, and they'll probably settle for slightly below the 1.5 million. And so the price for this is probably about 1.4, which seems a little pricey for a car. It is a classic car, but it's not something that a ton of people are after for this generation.
You can also see the history. So you see when it was first listed, the seller looked like they wanted maybe 1,000 or 1.6 million, but
really
maybe as high as 1.9.
Yeah, 1.6. And then they wanted 1.9, and then 1.9, 1.9, 1.7. And then currently it's at 1.5. I think that the car is probably worth about 1.1, 1.2 if they had no reserve. Like, it is a car that people don't really like.
Yeah, and the seller may continue to release the reserve over time, but each time this car goes to auction, the seller has to pay an auction listing fee, so it's getting expensive, which is usually why we don't see vehicles sit for such a long time, because the seller has to pay, so they're kind of financially motivated to make a sale. But
this guy doesn't give an F.
Right. I mean, there's a difference between how much he wants and how much he's actually going to get.
Idiot.
Yeah.
You know, with the USA prices expected to go down because of the new tariffs, we're going to see a lot more of this kind of thing.
Most likely.
I want to know how many cars. Actually, let's get Grant. Grant?
Yo.
Can you tell me how many cars are listed at USS Tokyo tomorrow?
Sure.
USS Tokyo usually has like 12,000 to 16,000 cars.
16,378.
16,378 is pretty high, but I have seen it as high as 20,000 recently.
Yeah, it's a busy time, so.
And I think that because prices are plateauing for the last like 3 or 4 years, I know about the time. I'm sorry, Max. For the last 3 or 4 years, it's been very profitable to hold cars at auction and wait for somebody to overpay.
Yep.
Buy a car from one auction, immediately send it to another auction, profit off of that. As the prices plateau and maybe even go down, exporters are going to try to continue doing this business that has been profitable for them, but it's not going to work. So we're going to see more and more cars that have been at auction long term like this one.
to explain what you're saying, the reason people would do that is because prices were increasing. So you buy it at a price and then you just send it to auction and wait. And as the price increases, eventually it reaches a point where you're like, okay, I'll take that price. And I just made money, even though I had to pay the auction listing fees every week. I still made money because the price kept increasing. And yeah, I agree. Good point. I don't think that's going to be sustainable now.
They're basically scalpers, really, and they can lose money. I'd be happy to see them lose money for scalping.
Yeah, we've never supported people buying cars from an auction and sending to another, but it works. It's a business model that works for some people in Japan. Sadly, sorry.
Point number 5 is, and let me see. Yeah, we got a car. We have a listing. We have a picture. Max, go ahead and put that up. Buying a classic car from the 60s through 1980s without knowing the car very well or knowing what you are getting yourself into.
There should be one after this.
Yeah,
There should be one.
next one. Yeah, it was that Mitsubishi. So this is a Mitsubishi Debonair from
I think
1974.
Debonair is such a cool name.
70s JDM cars. Very, very, very awesome. Unfortunately, there are not as many parts for them that are available, and many of the parts for example, classic muscle cars are fairly easy to find. Classic Japanese cars can be a different story. They weren't made of as high quality of parts. Well, it is a little bit nuanced, but there are things like door handles or door mirrors or dashboard bits or, these things that are difficult to refurbish can be in short supply. Most of the people who drive cars like this in Japan just understand that the condition's not going to be very good and live with it. So things that are easy to repair, like body, seats, anything that can be relined, carpets and stuff like that, can be in fine condition, or they can be in bad condition. But other things, how many parts for Mitsubishi Debonair are you going to be able to find?
Yeah.
And there's no denying cars of this era, some of the coolest cars ever. A car like this, the Debonair, is Mitsubishi's version of the Century. Amazing looks and would just feel so cool to be driving on the street. But you're taking on a very different commitment than buying a 25-year-old Japanese car even. Yeah. And if you have experience with classic cars, fine, no problem. But most people don't. Most people have never owned a 50-year-old car or a 40-year-old car and don't know what it's like. You will get yourself in all sorts of trouble if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, or you don't have tons and tons of money in your pockets. So do watch out for that, especially Hakoskas. Yeah. Hakoskas are probably one of the easier ones because parts are available because it's always been a sought-after vehicle. So people kept the parts in warehouses and stuff like that. Nobody was keeping parts for Debonair in warehouses, as cool as these things are.
On the topic of old cars, the concerns I think are twofold. One is your ownership experience, having to maintain and repair a car like this yourself. But for our concern is once we buy it and we have to get it shipped, it has to be running and drivable. And if old cars like this have problems that need to be repaired in Japan so they can ship, it can be very expensive and very difficult to find a shop that'll actually take it and try to repair it. So you've got a long wait time, a large repair bill, and often we tell customers, like, if you want to buy something like this that has a very, very high chance of problems, you kind of have to give us the okay when you purchase it that you're okay shipping it in a container. And that's much, much more expensive, but means we can actually ship it to you without an unknown amount of time repairing or unknown cost. So
yeah, we've had to do some weird things like alternators on a Publica. Wow. Not a single one left in the world. We had to get it rebuilt. Rebuilding an alternator isn't that scary, but rebuilding a 1966 Publica alternator, expensive and hard to do and takes a long time. Same thing with a starter on a Mazda Cosmo that we had to do. Yeah.
Just extra difficulties.
And shops in Japan will charge an arm and a leg because it is a very specialty type thing. They need to make their money somehow.
Okay, next one. We don't have a
number 6.
Number six.
And no picture.
How to buy a bad car. No picture. But set a date to be imported or rushing your purchase. A little anecdote that we get fairly commonly is with campers. Many people will be looking to buy campers for a holiday that they have planned. So your holiday date's probably set. Maybe it's at the end of the year or during your summer, whatever that happens to be. You're looking to buy a camper or maybe another car for a road trip or a holiday, and you have a set date to get that car to you by. If you're limiting yourself to that set date, anything that goes wrong, during the purchase or with the vehicle that causes a delay or something, you immediately put your holiday at risk. You've maybe already got time off, you pulled your kids out of school, or you've bought tickets for something, and now suddenly the whole holiday is up in question.
You didn't know that the brakes were bad.
Yeah. And it can be just very normal things. Like we've had shipping delays that just crop up from time to time. The main concern here, I think, is rushing a purchase to make sure that you can meet your deadline. You could force yourself to buy a car that you might not be happy with just so that you can make your deadline. Very risky situation to be in, and not something we encourage at all.
And it puts a pressure on you too. You're not going to have an enjoyable buying. Like, it is fun to browse the auction and look at cool cars and then buy something. It's absolutely enjoyable. But if you have a target car and a target date, then no longer is that enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's not the perfect car, but I'll buy it. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, the perfect car comes up.
Right. And then you're kicking yourself. You're like, wow, if I didn't have that deadline. A very real example, we have someone who's a regular viewer and chatter. They live in the very far east of Canada, and they're doing a road trip once their vehicle lands in New Westminster. And they asked me for some advice on when they should book flights. And it's just not something I can do. Like, until we get the shipping date, we don't know when it's going to arrive, so then he has to book flights to arrive there at the same time, or have someone handle the car for him when he arrives. And he's a knowledgeable guy. He's done this before, and he knows how to handle it. But there are just extra hoops to jump through.
Okay. Number 7, we do have a picture for. This is buying at the very top of your budget and leaving no room for contingencies. We've already kind of talked about the contingencies, like the car could break down. You need money to pay for that if that happens. Shipping might be more expensive than you thought. Of course, you can get a quote from us, but maybe you buy something that's got a roof carrier on and you forgot that you needed to add more price to that. The reason I brought a Skyline into this is because a lot of people who like the Skyline, these vary in price a lot. The cheap ones are a certain amount of money. The expensive ones could be 2, even 3 times more expensive. And it is one of these world famous cars that is going to get you admiration from your peers. And a lot of people put that admiration from your peers as a very important part of car ownerships. There are people who are like, I need a Skyline. It must be a Skyline. I don't really have enough money for it, but
the admiration of your peers could cost you a lot of money that you weren't planning to pay for.
And then, so maybe you have enough money to buy the Skyline, but it turns out that you only had enough to buy it. You didn't leave some left over. So there is that. This one kind of fits hand in hand with number 10 as well. So I'm not going to go into too much more details, but we find this is very common on the very desirable cars, like a Nissan Skyline, Nissan Silvia, Toyota JZX 100, Land Cruisers even. Land Cruisers are more reliable, so maybe a little bit less risk in buying one of those and having a breakdown. But honestly, not really. Yeah. Land Cruisers commonly have like bad alternators, which small problem, but it's an extra $1,000.
It's good general advice, and then it's more risky for other things. And this is something that we warn new customers about all the time. Like when we're qualifying your budget for the kind of car you want, we'll always tell you, like, if you have this much money to spend, you can get this. If you are okay with this, then that's fine. But understand you have to allocate extra money for things that are more than likely going to go wrong. Skylines, Silvias, JZX 100s, very common. Be careful. Don't overreach.
Number 8.
Number 8's me.
And we have a picture for it.
Bring up that picture. Targeting heavily modified cars or cars that have been drifted. This one
has been drifted. You can look, the person even raised up the front suspension.
Yeah, because it was likely slammed and impossible to ship as is. So they raised it up.
How can you tell if a car has been drifted before?
Well, I would expect, without having a look at the auction sheet, I would expect many replaced panels. I can already tell that the front bumper's been replaced. The fenders have likely been replaced because of the body kits and everything.
Big beefy radiator.
Big beefy radiator. Wheels pushed out way too far.
But specifically the front wheels. If you ever see any sort of rear-wheel drive car where the front wheels are wider than the rear wheels, that means it's been drifted.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. So I would expect this car, I would be willing to place bit money that it's an R grade, and that I would be seeing a bunch of X's all around the auction sheet.
Can I just mention something before we get into this? Like, buying a drift car or a heavily modified car has a value to it, but it's got a big risk. If you know these cars inside out and you're okay with building it from the ground up, there is really no problem buying one of these if you know what you're getting into. The problem is they're popular cars with a lot of people who don't know what they're getting into, and that's where the risk lies.
That is a great point. That's worth two for the good point calculator. Yeah, it's like if you want an S15 and you're maybe low on your budget, this might be appealing because these cars are usually cheaper because of all the issues that they often have. But the person who doesn't drift or doesn't know all the problems with drift cars may be kind of shuttered into something like this, and then you're in over your head.
And I gotta say that drift cars and modified cars usually aren't sold until they're all used up.
Yeah.
Like, it costs a lot of money to modify a car. Some people are dumping 10 grand into a car that costs 10 grand and then selling it for 10 grand, right? Modifications can add value, but don't always. Sometimes they'll lower the value on some cars. But someone's not going, like, if they invested 20 grand into the car and they're selling it for 10 grand, it's probably near the end of its life and it's time to get something else.
You know what? I don't hear of people saying, I quit drifting. I hate drifting. I quit. No more. I'm selling my car.
You don't hear people saying, I quit cocaine either.
Okay.
Or heroin. But methamphetamine.
I think you'd get a lot of people doing that. People,
alcohol.
Yeah, probably. But my reason for saying this is, like, if these are drifters, they probably want another drift car. So why aren't they keeping this drift car?
Ah, that's a good point.
You know, like, dang, good points here. Yeah.
More than any other car, modified cars give us trouble, and that means they're going to give you trouble as well. So know what you're getting into. This is the broad advice. Know what you're getting into, and if you don't know, or if you can ask us, because we have been through this. We've exported several thousand cars and have seen pretty much everything.
We have many good points we can share with you.
Especially
about what
you,
to
Mike.
Avoid.
You have lots of good points.
We all have good points here.
I know
Next is
Max
me.
hasn't been able to talk too much in this episode, but Max usually has good points.
Thank you.
Max is trying to get us to hurry this along because we are rapidly running out of time.
Number 9. This one's for me, and we've got a picture for this one. This is fall in love with the images and then not caring so much about the report.
Why did you have to pick an RX-7?
So these auction pictures, they're just pictures of the car. They're fairly low resolution, and you can't really tell the condition of the car so well from the pictures. So we urge people to very barely, I mean, we got experience, but most people don't.
Yeah.
You can't really tell a lot of the condition just from the pictures, but I feel like a lot of people just feel more comfortable seeing the pictures and then going, oh yeah, that's what I need. And then they've already sold themselves on the car before they really know the condition. And then at that point, they go through the sheet and then it's different. They look at the things that are wrong with it and then go, oh, I can live with that. Because they've already convinced themselves that that's the car they see themselves driving around in. Especially for, I don't want to say younger because there's nothing, it's not an age thing, it's an experience thing. But like people who don't know how bad things can get with a car like an RX-7, one of the best cars ever, but I'm not going to say it's not a problematic car. And you see a car like this, and this might not be your style, but there is a car that you're going to look at and go, yes, please, that's what I want. And then it's like, oh yeah, I can fix that.
Yeah.
I can fix that. But I don't know, do you have experience doing heavy body work on a car before and knowing exactly how much work it is? Because if you don't, maybe you want to rethink that before you convince yourself that that is the car for me, even despite all of the issues with it. So do consider that. Be very careful taking a look at the pictures of the cars and then going, oh, yes. I know I'm going to say this and people aren't going to believe me. People aren't rational when it comes to car purchases. I can be the same way too. Honestly, this is less of a problem if you've got enough money that I'm not saying that I'm this rich guy that can fix all of my problems, but like if money is any concern of yours, this is a huge problem. If you've got enough money to throw at a car and you just don't care about it, this is much less of a problem.
Sure. I have this daily struggle with RX-7s. Every time I see a picture of one, I'm like, yes,
and
I want one.
They drive so well.
Yeah. And then I start thinking about it and I'm like, do I really want to maintain an RX-7? Not really. I would really like for it to just work and drive every time I drive it. Don't have space to tinker on it. So it's a...
And at this point, tinkering on an RX-7 might not be the way I don't have the space to rebuild the engine on this one.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Or to mess with 7 different boost actuators.
RX-7s are crazy supermodels. They're out of your league, but you want them anyway. But if you ever to get one, you'll be in a lot of trouble.
This is number 9 because it is probably close to the most important thing that many people fail to do. And I'm expecting you all to fail at it in the future because this is just how we are. We see beautiful cars and we can't say no to them. So
yeah.
Try to keep that in mind. Don't look at the pictures and convince yourself that's an awesome car before you look at the sheet. And the sheet also, like looking at the sheet here, you can see XX on many of these panels, including the left side sill. That means a fairly heavy accident. And I personally would be not interested in driving an RX-7 that had been in that big of an accident because you drive these for the fun of driving. And this one, the accident was big enough that it would take that away, I would think.
Yeah. I think this rolls very nicely into the last point.
And the most important one. Most important one and the easiest place for anyone to fail.
Yep. So we can actually, I think we have another example for this one, but I wouldn't mind using this one to start off with.
We don't have another example of this one.
Oh, perfect. In which case we'll use this. So the last point is budgeting at the bottom 25% of the price range, similar to number 10.
It's basically similar to number 7.
Number 7. Okay.
Right.
So if you're looking for an RX-7, you're decided the RX-7 is the car you want to buy, you understand the maintenance and everything, fine. You find this one, and if you're targeting the bottom 25% of the range, you have to make concessions. You have to make compromises. That compromise can include unknown mileage. It can include crash damaged RX-7s like this one. It can include what else? Any number of different things, just overall poorer condition. If you decide that you're going to spend low on a car that costs a lot, like a great RX-7 is very expensive. You're
like
pushed
6 million yen.
Yeah, you're almost pushed into all of these other issues that we've targeted, like the modified or drifted, or because you have no other choice because your budget's at a level where you can only target the bad ones.
It's so nice to have a good version of a car that you want too. It is so relieving.
Yeah.
If you have anxiety at all about the maintenance or the quality of your car, having a good condition car is just so relaxing.
Yeah, carefree.
You don't have
almost.
to worry. You're nodding your head, Max, but you're always fixing something on your car. I mean, it is in good condition, but I'm sure you're anxious about the car.
Yeah, I'm nodding because I know the anxiousness feeling.
Yeah.
I want to say something that is maybe people aren't considering for the bottom 25% of the price range is that at that price range for any popular car, you're competing with a lot more people at that price range because everybody wants the better car. There are way more people who want an NSX at 6 million yen than people who want an NSX at 15 million yen.
Yep.
And so as such, when you're buying the cars from auction, you might have 5 or even 10 times more competition in that bottom 25% than anyone else. And whenever there's competition, more demand and the same amount of supply, prices go up. And so you'll find yourself in the bottom 25%, maybe buying a car somewhere in here, right? Maybe even paying the same price or only very slightly different price than a car that is much, much better and doesn't have some of the same problems. So even if you're targeting a middle price of that car, you stand the chance of getting a much better car as a result. And I feel like at auctions, you can look at prices, sold prices on past auctions through our auction tool. Mm-hmm. And this can give you a good picture of the price range from 1 million yen to 2 million yen, for example. Just right off that bottom 25%. These are going to be cars with corrosion holes in the underside, engine problems, flood damage. Like, these aren't cars that are going to make you happy. In many cases, they'll be more expensive to bring this up to a good condition car than it would be to just buy that good condition car to begin with.
Yep.
Was that good?
Did
that sound good?
Fantastic.
Were they good points?
Fantastic points. Seriously, we're making a joke about the good points, but the primary advice we give is if you're wanting to buy a low condition vehicle at a low price and bring it up to a good condition, just buy the good condition one. It's probably cheaper. And I understand that that means having more money up front, whereas people might want to be like, well, I can only afford this now and I'm going to plan the repairs over a number of months. But honestly, you'll probably get the car and not be able to drive it for those months that you would save anyway, because you're going to be repairing stuff. So just wait, buy the better one, save yourself a whole lot of heartache and headache.
Code the Road. I know who you are, you little sneak.
You little sneak.
Yeah, Code the Road, always commenting on our videos. I know who you are now. You said that you've got a Cherokee. You can't hide from me anymore.
We know ya.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have time for dealer picks, or are we going to go straight into Q&A?
Straight into Q&A, except for that RX-7, because it was on the thumbnail.
Okay, we'll show you the thumbnail, so we're not clickbaiting you.
Wait, we need intro.
Intro. Oh, do you want to do this?
Yeah. Auction.
And
dealer
picks. Do you see how I picked up what you were doing without... We did not plan that. Oh, fantastic.
Because we're like this.
Yeah.
Right?
We're the same person.
Okay, so this fits really nicely into the type of car that we recommend that you don't purchase. This would be a bottom 25%. It looks like it, right?
It's got 4 different colors. That's fun.
Look at the offset of the wheels in the back.
Yeah, and the bumpers,
compared to the front.
Bumpers drooping down really far.
I don't know if this car has ever been drifted, because RX-7s are honestly not a very popular drift car, but yeah, this is a heavily modified big turbo RX-7, probably runs really poorly and is probably not possible to convert into a good car without doing an extensive, like everything. You need to do everything. There's unknown mileage on it. It has a radiator, turbo, hey.
Oh, it's 5 different colors. I was wrong.
Boost
it's gray,
controller.
white, blue, yellow, and black.
It looks like what's that? There's a
the
Volkswagen.
VW? Yeah.
The Volkswagen Golf that's in multicolors from the factory. The
Harlequin.
Right.
Yeah, Harlequin.
Maybe
it has a multi-plate clutch in it, and oh my gosh, lots and lots of bad stuff. Again,
Crashed
you see
everywhere.
these sheets, these auction sheets that have tons and tons of marks on them. Consider that a red flag. You can get this translated to find out if it actually is a red flag, but that many notes on it, especially in the lower report section, red flag. And look at this, the back window needs to be replaced. See the X on that? I don't know what's wrong with it, but it apparently needs to be replaced for some reason.
Yikes. Oh gosh.
It said the rear window was changed to acrylic.
Oh, plastic rear window. Probably somebody's race car, honestly.
Yeah.
Not a drift car, but a race car.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is a bag of worms. Good luck.
Let's just show the other ones that we got.
All right, really quickly though, we got to get to those burning questions.
The Jimny truck?
Mm-hmm.
The link is broken.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's weird.
Let's do the dealer ones, I guess.
Okay, cars at auction, not at auction, cars at dealerships here in Japan. This one's been on our list for a while. It hasn't been selling for a long ass time. That's because nobody wants to spend $100,000 on a Mark III Supra. It is a special one, and it has very, very low mileage. It's 2,000 kilometers.
Wow.
And it is a
Brand new.
GTA version. Is that right? Yes. Turbo, it is called a 3.0 GT Turbo A, 1 of 500 units made, and this one has very small little modifications because this was the homologation version. You needed to sell 500 of these if you wanted to go racing in... Grant, what's the racing series this raced in?
A500?
I think it would have been
JTCC. And this car actually did pretty well for the 6 months or so that it was competitive. And then afterwards, the R32
Very cool.
GTR came and destroyed it. Absolutely destroyed this car. And so it does have some success in racing, but it is too old school of a car to compete with the new school of the Skyline. And this dealership, yeah, if you've got that many 993s, I'm sorry, you're making too much money. I don't know how much they bought this for at auction, but I suspect the markup somewhere around 40 or 50% over auction. Yeah. So no purpose in buying this unless you want it is museum quality, but it's not really a car a ton of people are after.
Yeah.
Next one. This one's for you. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. No, I don't know much about these,
I gotta
honestly.
say, nice to see a good picture, a good leading picture from a Japanese dealer. They're often pretty bad.
I quite like the location that they chose. That's
their dealership.
Brick. Oh, really? It looks like a bank.
Yeah, they on the license plate it has the name of the dealer, and this Japanese over the awning says the dealer's name. Wow. It looks like a converted mental hospital or something.
Yeah, or hospital, or some kind of government building, but it looks like it was also made kind of when the car was made with those bricks. I quite like that.
So the one thing to note here is this is a non-GTR. The GTRs are worth so much money. This one's 8 million yen, which is around $50,000, which is a lot, but the GTRs are a lot more than that. So what a lot of people do is take the non-GTR version and then put on the GTR bits to make it look more like the GTR. This one keeps the original 2000 GT badging, which is an L20 engine. Same series as the Fairlady engine, but a 2-liter version of it, inline 6-cylinder, 150 horsepower. Should still be pretty fast for the 1,000-kilogram car. And I think very cool to see the non-GTR. It's not trying to be something it's not. Like so many of these, like 90% of them seem to be GTR clones now. Yeah. Because you just add 20 grand to the value by changing a few bits. Yeah. And that's why everybody does it. But pretty soon, if not now, these ones are going to be the ones that like stand out. The GTR, another GTR clone. Yeah. This is very cool. 5-digit odometer, so maybe 124,000 kilometers or 224, who knows. But still, pretty car. Grant was saying, and I agree, it looks really good in the narrow body without the over fenders. I think it has very pretty body lines. And it's a cool shape for a coupe. Coupe being a 2-door. You can get these in 4-door or 2-door. I do love a notchback 2-door, which is something you don't see too often.
A bit of trivia for you. This crease over the rear wheel arch is Grant's favorite quality of this. So if it ever comes up in a pub night trivia, what is Grant from PCA's favorite aspect of the 2000 GT? It is that crease over the rear fender, over the rear wheel, on the rear fender.
Yeah.
Save that in your brain. Now, we said we weren't going to go over the dealer picks. We did it anyway.
Yep.
But so now, questions and
answers.
Wow. Let's do it.
I kind of want a mustache again. I love the stupid look of having a mustache.
It is fun.
Sorry for anyone who has a mustache. You probably look great with it, but me look stupid. Yeah, but I love that.
I also look stupid.
I love a stupid mustache.
I can't grow facial hair. Anyway, Max.
Starting with the questions from the last stream's comments. Suraj Rajput asked, have you guys shipped any cars to Burundi or East Africa? If so, how does it work? Was it smooth or were there any hiccups?
East Africa, yes. Burundi in particular, no. Was it smooth?
We might not know some of the countries our cars are. Well, we ship to Mozambique. Is that the main port?
If you're in a landlocked country in Africa, you're probably going through like Dar es Salaam or maybe South Africa even. There is probably a bunch of other ports that we don't commonly ship to. My advice, if you're considering whether or not you want to do something like this, is first check with your local import authority or a customs broker and see about importing cars first. For all of our customers, it's their job to understand the import requirements for your own country. We don't know every country, we know a lot, but overall the responsibility lies with you for the importing. We can export cars anywhere, we can purchase them at auction and send them to you, but you need to make sure it's the right year and it qualifies for being registered on the road and you're doing everything legally. So that's your first protocol. Through that research, you'll also find out where you need to send the car to, most likely, if you're speaking with a broker who imports cars regularly.
Kenya imports 5 times the cars of the USA imports.
Yeah, there are plenty of cars going to your side of the world, so it's shipping there is very quick and quite affordable too. So
yeah, very much so.
Okay, next question from George Shack Lady. I think this
George
was on a walk around video. Okay. Do you show an invoice from the auction, or do you just give your invoice from the company?
So when you buy a car, you get an invoice from us that shows all of the costs plus the car cost, and then you use this to pay us, and you use it for importing the car. That's normal. Of course, every company has to give an invoice, otherwise you don't get money, right?
Yeah, normal transaction.
The auction invoice comes from the auction. It's what we pay the auction. It includes our costs to the auction and various things. We have to pay for some things that get refunded, like the registration on the car called shaken, the road tax, recycle ticket, taxes, other things like that we get back. there's no purpose for you to get a copy of the auction invoice except for if you're curious to know if we're being honest with you about what the costs are, because this is a way that some unscrupulous exporters are making extra money.
I would go so far as to say many.
I would go so far as to say most. I'm not.
Good point.
I'm not joking about that.
Yeah.
The game goes like this: your customer, pretend to be the customer. We'll do a little role play here.
Okay. Hi, Derek. I would like to buy an RX-7. I'm in love with them. I would like to bid 2 million yen on this one that I found.
Okay, I'll bid 2 million yen.
Okay,
2 million yen bid. Oh yes, we won it. We won it for 1.5 million yen. Congratulations,
Are
Mike.
you telling me you saved me 500,000 yen?
No.
Well, you are. I bid 2 million.
We
You bid
actually
1.5.
won the car for 1.8 million yen. So pay up,
Oh.
bucko.
Oh,
1.8 million yen. I actually bought it for 1.5 million yen, but they'll never know that.
I'm so happy.
I bought it for 1.8 million yen. Now pay up, bucko.
You saved me 200,000 yen. I'm so happy.
I'm
Thank
happy
you.
too. I just made 3,000. I mean, I made only our service fees off of you.
Yeah.
And so we have known that this has been a problem. We have been affected by this when we were a little baby company and had to buy from other exporters before we were properly established. It happens very frequently. And so we can offer you a chance to see the auction invoice, a scan of it, and you can see that we are not going to be marking up. We have never and will never participate in this sort of scam toward the customer, and this is a lot of the reason why people like to buy from us. So,
Yeah.
good question. I love that question because people don't realize that, and it is once they
Yeah.
realize that, they're like, of course.
Yeah.
Because they don't have access to see any of the auction information. They can't call up the auction and confirm the price of it.
Yeah.
And it's something that if people aren't even thinking about it, it's so easy. So easy to scam them. And these exporters are lining their pockets.
Yeah.
I feel like saying the F word in that sentence.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah. It's been the industry standard for, I don't know, 2 decades more, probably.
It's funny too because
Yeah, definitely
sometimes
more.
we get customers who are like, we're comparing you against another export company, but their prices are lower.
Their service
they're
fees lower,
still
right?
making their money back in another way. The lower the price, the more chance that they are going to be doing this to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Going into questions
From the chat.
stream, and I screenshotted them this time, so I don't need to scroll all the
You
time.
the man,
I think we
creative
had a
man.
lot of people chatting. It was cool. I was
Yeah.
seeing it flying through, but we
We're at 64 viewers at the moment. It's also
Great.
a new record.
64 of you. Thank you
65.
very much for watching. We
Oh.
hope you're enjoying your stay.
We're watching people dip out, and we're going to make sure that you don't win any of the contests that we're going to be doing. No dipping out.
Okay, let's start with a personal question.
Ooh.
What happened? Asked. How do you guys?
Do you have
stay-
any chest
This
hair?
is for you.
Sorry.
For me,
No, for both.
I have chest
For
hair.
us, how do we stay so thin?
This is
That's
for you.
not true. I am medically diagnosed as fat in Japan. I have a sheet of paper that says I am viscerally obese.
I have a BMI of 19.9, and I would say that I am on the slender edge of regular body.
For a real answer to this question, in Japan you walk a lot, and I think that is the biggest contributing
And?
factor to.
The food is less
yes.
processed here.
I come from New Zealand, so I don't know if that's true. Maybe but
Compared to like in Canada, a lot of our food, like the stuff that they have in the States, can't go and get sold in Canada because it has certain ingredients that are not legal in Canada. And even though Canada is largely
yeah.
overweight, there's a big difference between Canada and the US.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the convenience foods in the US have ingredients that are very terrible for you.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
although that kind of food exists here in Japan, I don't think it's to the same scale. And that's, I think, a lot of the reason why. It's not so much people being lazy, and there are other factors, but I feel like the quality of the
Yeah.
food is different.
Like, especially with candies and stuff, they're way less sweet here, I think.
And better, in my opinion. Much
Yeah,
better.
Not as many chemicals and things. Hit us with more. We'll do rapid fire.
Gregor is asking. I saw a car that was graded 3.5, but didn't have any kilometers listed, and the gauge cluster wasn't on the pictures.
Totally possible.
What do you think the deal with that would be?
Fatty Mike.
A grade 3.5 does not take into account mileage, so completely possible. If it has unknown mileage, it has unknown mileage. It can still be a grade 3.5. It's not one of the grading criterias for a car.
Although,
other than super low mileage being a requirement for higher
grade 4.
grades.
Right.
Yeah.
So a grade 4, some auctions will say, oh, if the mileage is over a certain amount, it can't be a grade 4 anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Next one. Code the road. Is there something similar to Carfax in Japan?
I think I saw Zaid answer that, and he gave the
Yeah.
answer of Car VX, which is true, but it's not really the same.
Yeah, it doesn't have history of accidents
Yeah.
or major repairs that have been done or recalls.
Yeah. These are not requirements in Japan for vehicles to have listed on them, as far as I know.
I think for the vast majority of the population in Japan, it's been a non-issue. Most people are driving much, much, much newer cars here than they are in other countries. And as such, there's like the history of the car isn't as important to them because there are not going to be as many breakdowns if you're constantly driving a 3 to 5 year old car.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you.
Maybe connected to that. Just Another House Cat was asking, what do you guys...
I'm not a cat.
I'm ready to go forward with the trial.
Maybe it's Felix.
Oh, very cool. I hope it is, and I like your music.
Do you know anything about the Carnet process? And are you guys seeing cars being sent back to...
I think there was a YouTube video recently of a GTR. Very popular YouTuber or something was sending a GTR. It was a Larry Chen video.
Right.
And was sending his GTR from Canada back to Japan in order to sell it or something. I didn't watch the video, but this might be in reference to that. But what is Carnet? That's the auctions in the States, right?
It's a carnet. It's a French word, and it's that's what I'm understanding. It's a carnet, so it's a temporary import. It means you're allowed to temporary import, if this is the case, someone taking their car from Canada, you bring it to Japan, you get on a carnet, which means I'm importing this vehicle for a small amount of time, and then it's going to leave. It's what's done with rally teams and race cars frequently. And it's just a temporary import. It means the car's here, they might get it worked on, they might race in an event, they might go to a car show, and then they're sent it back. Like Mad Mike would do that with his drift cars in Japan. Actually, he has some dedicated drift cars in Japan.
A ton of Europeans do that in Canada. They bring their huge campers over to Canada, land in Halifax, and then go around Canada/USA and then go back. You can do this for, I can't say every country, but the majority of countries will allow a vehicle in temporarily, and in Japan it's just a little weird because you don't drive over a border, you ship the car here.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think it's that difficult, even though we don't know too much about it. It's probably not too expensive. The shipping is probably there and back somewhere in the range of about $3,000 I would think, somewhere around there, depending on the size of the car.
It's unlikely you would row the car here and back, I think. You could, but row from the USA to Japan?
I think it's cheap too, to row from USA to here because there aren't too many cars coming back, and the vessel has to come back anyway.
Yeah. Not really a part of our business. We buy cars here in Japan for export to the USA.
But would be very cool.
Yeah, would be.
Especially like...
just to give some advice, you want a customs broker who knows how to do carnets to do that for you. And they'll probably do end to end. So you'd speak with them in the USA, they'd send it and bring it back. Next.
Okay. Crunch Sheet 8. 2 questions when we talked about RX-7s. Maybe we can combine them. One was, what are the most common issues with modified cars? Very quickly, because I know we had an episode on that. And what would a good report for an RX-7 be?
What would a good report for an RX-7 be?
I think we can go over key things. Like my first one would be not unknown mileage. You want known mileage.
So the RX-7s, one of the big problems is that the mileage doesn't really dictate the amount of engine internal wear there is. It really depends on how well the oil changes were done. So a 40,000 kilometer one could be toast, or 120,000 kilometer one could be fine. The higher the mileage, of course, the higher the risk, but most piston engines aren't that delicate when it comes to the type of oil that they put in, or like how frequent the oil changes are. And if the engine is worn out on the inside, it's a rebuild, and it will run pretty poorly when it'll gradually get worse and worse and worse. And if you want your car to shoot flames out the back, this is a good thing.
Yes, please.
But this is the main problem with the RX-7s. You can't tell the condition of it before you see the engine running, and there's really not a good way to get that done before you bid on a car at auction.
Yeah.
Because the inspectors, they're not specialists in the rotary engines. So beyond that, when the engine, the RX-7 engine, when it loses compression, it tends to flood the engine on cold starts, and a lot of people, like transport companies, don't realize that. And so we'll get a car. So the way it works is you never turn off an RX-7 when the engine is cold, and you have to wait till the engine warms up, and people just don't realize that. And the reason why is they spray gas into the engine right when the engine is off so that it can start up more easily the next time. But if the engine is cold, that gas just sits in the engine as gas instead of immediately vaporizing as it hits the hot engine internals. And so you've now got too much fuel in there that could foul your spark plugs and lead to a weak spark, which means no start when it comes time to start. And then you have to take the spark plugs out. You have to wait for it to dry out. This is a big pain. So sometimes RX-7s just don't ship. And this tends to happen more on any of the ones that are of lower compression than the ones that have new high compression. But again, you don't know which ones are which. So there is that problem.
I think overall advice, you need to know the car. Like the RX-7 has very specific things that would mean that you don't want to buy one if you saw them on the auction sheet, whereas that might be different for an NSX, which has... If I saw a crash damage NSX, I would not want it very much because that is extremely difficult to repair an aluminum frame.
Which one?
NSX.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, know the car that you're looking for.
Sorry, there was a second question in there.
Was there? Generally, modified cars, what should you look out for?
Just know that you're taking on more risk when you buy them. And there could be $8,000 or $10,000 of modifications to your car. Mm-hmm. That you're only spending $1,000 extra for the car because of those modifications. So in that sense, it can be a really good deal. But if you take somebody else's project car, there are so many question marks that you don't know about. And it can be excruciatingly difficult to try to understand what has been changed in your car.
Yeah. And you take that car to a shop for repair and they're like, what is it? And you're like, I don't know.
And
I bought it like this.
RX-7. Well, go to a different shop, please.
They're like, we're actually very busy right now. We can't accept you.
Or they'll give you the FU price and that this is 3 times the cost to fix this.
Or the price that we got, which is we have to completely tear down this engine to know what was done to it, and then maybe we can fix it. Have a look at my laptop.
Once. We had a 700 horsepower top secret Supra, was it? Skyline, yeah. That we took it to a specialist tuner.
A very famous
and they were like, how much? 1 million yen just to convert it back to normal,
right?
Before they can try to find if there was any problems with it, because they just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, it was a very famous shop. It was not Mines. Mines has been fantastic to us. They're lovely people and my favorite tuning shop.
They are expensive though.
They are.
I mean, for good reason.
Yeah, I think you get what you pay for. I want a Mines car. If I saw one come through auction, yoink.
What Mines car would you want?
Any. I just want one that they've touched.
All right. We'll get Aki to sell his to you. His car is probably worth $150,000 now.
Yeah. That'd be yikes.
Speaking of buying cars, Dark Corsair is asking, Derek, have you gotten into trouble with your family for buying a car?
Yes.
My wife doesn't know about all the cars that I've bought. But
she also doesn't watch this show, right?
No.
Okay, safe space.
I don't think I'm the only person that's like that in our chat.
No, I think if you're into cars, you're probably walking a pretty thin line at all times.
I also have a secret storage facility to put my cars that are not in my driveway. So I don't have a wife going, what's that?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, that's Mike's car. He left it here for me to drive for the next year.
Isn't he crazy? Not me, though.
Okay.
My wife is okay if we've got a family car and a Derek Fun car. And as long as I've got one Derek Fun car, it's fine. I've got 3 right now, and she knows about 2 of them.
Fine. That's okay. That's
if you personally know my wife, please don't say anything.
That's fun.
I'm missing a good transition for this one, so here goes. Do you port? We port.
We often port.
Do we ship to Miami?
We do. No, not Miami. Yeah, sorry. People who are in the Miami area ship to Jacksonville.
It's fairly far away.
Yeah.
The U.S. is huge.
Yeah. And Florida's really long and kind of skinny at the tip, but then
that's okay.
Fat at the base.
Give it 25 years and there won't be Florida anymore. All the keys will just be gone.
Oh, water.
Yeah. What
Global.
were you thinking?
I don't know. Anyway, next question.
Personal question again from Dark Corsair.
Dark
Mike.
Corsair with the chats.
Has he
Is
been
it another fat question?
No.
I can only field so many.
Mike, why are you so fat?
I can't help it. I like food.
Have you been called a foreigner on the street for driving in the European cars that you own?
People in Japan never interact with you
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
That's just how it is here.
Yeah. If they had opinions of me, they would keep it to themselves. We stand out as foreigners. We're like, I don't know, 2 or 3% of the population here, with 95%
1%.
being Japanese people. So you stand out. I'm tall. I stand out more, or more visible. So
Do you think about how you stand out in your day-to-day life?
no, I often see videos of people being like, "Oh, Japanese people are staring at me," or they don't sit next to me on the trains. It doesn't really bother me. Like, whatever your reasons are for doing it.
I
that's fine.
honestly go months without even thinking about it. I
Yeah.
almost never think about like how people are perceiving me, because I've just been here for so long. It's
Yeah.
never on my mind.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of like content creators are just looking for content.
Yeah, I that's what I think too.
And and people will click on the negatives, like, oh my god, Japanese people are so racist. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's a different culture here and it has different norms, but like trying to get clicks from negativity is going to paint an incorrect picture.
Yeah, I've never been like refused from a restaurant. Some people might, like, if I don't speak much Japanese, so they might not serve me because they're worried
No, I think
about
it's
not
'cause
being
you're
able
fat.
to serve to me. Yeah, or
They're
maybe they're like,
this
"He's
guy
had
has eaten
enough.
enough.
No more for you, fatty." Yeah. No, I've never had a bad experience at all. I've seen sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, it's gaijin" or something like that, but it's, if you're in a sea of, if you're the only different person in a sea of everyone else, of course you stand out. It's not a big deal. They're never rude about it.
I'm very happy that in Japan people do keep that kind of stuff to themselves, because it would be a very different experience if you're in
Yeah.
a country where
Yeah.
people are like, hey, go back to your country, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Which they absolutely could do.
They might be thinking that, but
I don't say
they
it.
rarely say.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can hear people say
You can,
something.
right. You might get chatted about. You might see people being like, "Oh, it's," and I don't understand what they're saying, but it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, just recently my family was here and we were walking around, I don't know, Yokohama station, and there was this old dude crossing our paths, and he was like mumbling in Japanese to him, like, "Is Japan really that interesting to be here?"
Yeah,
It's these
that-
kind of
yeah.
It always seems to be people over the age of 60.
They come from a different era, right?
Yeah.
A different understanding, and maybe
It's weird though. It is very, very rare though. Like, I feel like, I don't know if you guys feel this too, but in Japan, people over a certain age, they grew up in a time where the US and foreigners were extremely interesting to the general population, and now the younger people aren't as interested because it's not their generation's thing. And so they're like, people of a certain age are more interested in talking to you in English and
Yeah.
like helping you out if they know English or something like that.
Yeah, they're often very excited, right? To be like, "Oh, I know something about Canada. You're from Canada. Let's talk about it."
Right.
And it's both, like what Max said, is an old Japanese person maybe not having a good view of tourists or foreigners, whereas you get a lot of the opposite, which is people who are more than happy to talk to you about where you came from if they know something about Germany or New Zealand or Canada. And
oh my god, the number of people who speak to me in German, Japanese people,
yeah,
insane.
Really?
Yeah, that's
It's
cool.
I thought there were like 4 people here that can speak German.
No, it's
No,
maybe
sorry,
there's
go
some history there. I don't know.
Well,
but still, it's
It might be the area that you live in, because there's the big German school here, and there's
Yeah.
Bosch here,
yeah.
and are there other German companies?
every German company is in Yokohama.
Mm.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, but it
And I
happened
see-
in Saitama too. Like, people are just learning
Yeah.
the language randomly. Like, everyone who's into music and arts is probably like, "Oh, German, yes."
Yeah. Japan's in one of the is one of the biggest economies in the world, and it's very popular for Japanese people to travel and be interested in the world. So
It has been until the yen tanked.
yeah.
But that means that you can buy cars from Japan at a lower price.
Good point.
PacificCoastAuto.com. Buy a car from Japan and enjoy it as much as Mike enjoys his car right now.
Which is
Not that much.
true. It's a lovely car.
On that topic, let's do the 2 last questions that we still have. I closed the window for the screenshots. Any improvement on container shipping to Montreal?
No.
We're not going to try doing that again. After
Yeah.
what happened the very first time and last time that we sent to Montreal, we don't want to try again. They're out there to line their pockets with the tears of other people and laugh about it. The Montreal port is a dangerous port to send anything to, especially a container of cars. We paid nearly like $15,000 basically. Not that we paid it, but
It wasn't our fault, but we helped the customer out because we felt bad, and that was a very shady situation. So no containers into Montreal. What we'll do instead is we will send them to New Westminster, and then they will be trucked to Montreal. So it's the same thing, just without all of the unnecessary risk of having the container directly arrive in Montreal.
and the price isn't that much different.
If Montreal is watching this, I'm sorry, but there's some weird stuff going on there, and I don't like it.
Imagine we have our first feud and it happens to be the Port Authority of Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh man, they've got the Port Authority, powerful people,
Yeah.
right? We don't want to be
almost.
we don't want to be enemies with them. They
If I
probably
disappeared
have-
before next week's show, it was Port of Montreal.
Mike fell down some stairs and then out a window and then shot himself in the back of the head on the way down.
Okay, last question that we have here. Crunchy asks again, are you guys seeing more and more wagon-like cars, like the Toyota Crown or Stagea?
Seeing them?
Like
See,
new ones?
do we sell more? Like,
Oh.
Probably.
The heyday of wagons seems to be gone. The wagons are still more popular in Japan than they are in many countries. Like coming from USA/Canada, wagons are very much not popular there. When I moved to Japan, it's like you can get a lot of the same models that are available in Canada, but the wagon version of them, like Accord wagon and BMW wagons that just either weren't available or were sold in such small numbers where I'm from. It's lovely. But I don't think that in Japan they care about the wagons so much anymore. It's moved more to minivans now than wagons. It just has.
Yeah.
There are still a lot of older wagons that you can buy if you are a wagon enthusiast. I highly recommend it, but I feel like the trend of wagons being everywhere here in Japan is maybe dying down.
yeah, I would agree. I don't see them that often.
Max is such a great addition to this team.
Thank you for reading that, and thank you for writing that.
Max,
we don't
ask,
have any.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Max, ask Mike about sheep. Mike loves sheep too much. That's a New Zealand joke.
Okay.
And it's true. Sheep are wonderful, fluffy, very beautiful creatures.
Sexy.
That's all I'll say.
even.
I didn't say sexy.
I said
Could have
it.
been implied, but
I'm not from New Zealand, so I don't have a horse
it's a
in
New
this
Zealand
race.
thing. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah. So, Mike, I think we're done the Q&A. Thank you, everyone who sent in your questions for us. We had a good time answering them, didn't we?
We did. If we missed your question, please send your question. You can either type it as a comment to this video or any other way you feel like we would see it. You can do
And
that.
Show
No,
please
at
don't.
Pacific
Do the
Coast.
comments.
JD, do the comments. Max would prefer if you did the comments, and this is Max's baby. The show is Max's baby, and it's
We
Derek's
always have to
baby.
do what Max says. He's all friendly on camera, but after the camera goes off, he always gives us instructions on what we can do better.
That is true.
That's
but
totally not true, actually. I will say that our contest, our mystery contest, we're going to be announcing next episode. And so if you're just coming in now, maybe you missed the beginning of it, the contest is closed. We'll tell you what you can win if
What you
in
have
future
won.
contests. I'm so bad at
We
doing
will
this.
tell
Mike,
you who
talk.
won. We will tell you what you won, and we will reveal it to all of you so you can know what to expect for future competitions. We don't have a plan to do regular competitions, but they'll be scattered around for our loyal viewers.
So make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the
Yeah.
bell for notifications.
Next show will be fun. We'll try not to do any tariff talk.
Nope, it's impossible these days.
Something will happen. But yeah, the fun show.
I'm
Thank
going
you for
to
tuning in.
do my papers. Do you want to do your papers?
Thank you for washing dishes. Thank you for doing the house chores while you're doing this. I hope you had a productive time. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed us. I hope you enjoy your life.
Did you say I hope you enjoy your wife?
Your life. But
All right.
yeah, both
On that note, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.